Okay, we are live on Facebook for Spotlight Sunday. I am so excited. So I'm going to continue letting everything load so I can get everything pulled up and see comments. I want to make sure we don't miss anything before we start here. So let's refresh. We have the amazing, magical Amy here today. Magical is a good word for you, I feel like.
Agreed.
So, awesome. Okay, I got everything pulled up. As you come on live, let me know that you're here. Ask any questions that you have as we go, and we will respond to comments, all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm so excited for Spotlight Sunday. I've been trying to get Amy on here for so long, and I'm so excited to finally have you. So I decided to quit butchering people's intros. So I will let you do your own intro, so I don't say anything wrong. And yeah, let's hear all about you. Like, what do you do, and how did you get started? All the good stuff.
All of that. Okay.
All the good stuff.
So my name's Amy F. Aurore, and since I can't keep the same niche for like more than 20 minutes, which is like totally not okay, but it's an evolution and process. But I've just decided to just use my name as my business name. So I'm Amy Aurore. I'm a spiritual life coach. I actually have a cool story behind my name, so I think that's kind of cool to tell. But 5 years ago, I got a divorce and super fun stuff. But when I went to change my name because my ex was getting remarried, I was like, oh shit, I need my own name. Yeah. I decided to take my middle name, which was Aurore, and it's my grandmother's name. And she was named after the goddess of the dawn, Aurora. I decided to take that, push it to the end, and I put the big fat F. It's just F. There's no actual name there, just F. And it stands for freedom.
Wow,
I wanted
that is a
above
cool
all
story.
else, right? Oh my God, our power is going out.
Oh,
no. Okay, well, I'm in the darkness, but I still have cell phones.
Yikes.
For those of you watching, I was telling Brooke before I got on that we have like tornado quality winds outside right now. So we're just going to roll with this. I got the light from my computer.
That's so crazy.
Maybe it's the goddess of the dawn.
If you need to go, we can always reschedule. I don't want you to be like in a legit tornado.
No, I really don't know. I think it's just windy. But if somebody comes to get me if it goes too bad, I suppose. But anyway, so to keep going, Rise, however, which you saw in the title of this call, it's my word for right now. Rise is everything for me. And it goes along with the goddess of the dawn, which I just kind of put together when I was writing this bio. So anyway, it's the name that I use to outline my spiritual teachings. And I actually have a passion project going right now called Sister Rivers Rise, which we'll save for another Spotlight Sunday down the road. So Rise is totally my word for right now.
I love it.
Yeah. So do you want me to go into why I created my business, or do you want to?
It sounds like it goes with what you're going to be talking about anyway. So let's save it for then, so we can dive into like all the juicy stuff together. I love that story though. I didn't know that about your name. That's so awesome. Just like totally pick your own. I love it. Awesome.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so I'm really excited to get to all the Rise stuff then. So before we dig in, I always have to ask everybody, what is your definition of branding? Like, what does it mean for you and your business?
So this is a cool question to have to answer. And I came to the definition that branding is like a spotlight on me, like as a business person. I'm all about authenticity. I'm all about real deal. Like what you see is what you get. And that wasn't always the case, but it is like it's kind of what I base my whole business off of, is really identifying your authentic self and showing up as that person all of the time. So branding is just that. It's shining a spotlight on my shiniest, sparkliest, most magical self. And how it's affected my business is that like what you see is what you get. So it's very easy for me to be my brand. However, I'll be clear in saying that I probably still need to hire you, which is on my to-do list, just to like shine that spotlight a little bit brighter and like, do it in a sparkly, more magical way. So I can say that branding's affected my business for the positive because I am what I am, but in the negative in that I just haven't really dialed up that spotlight just yet.
That's awesome, though. I love that definition. And it's funny that you say spotlight. This is Spotlight Sunday, because that's a really good way to put it, though. And I've never heard anyone say it quite like that. That's why I love asking that question too, because everyone's answer is so different, even though it really means the same thing essentially. I love how everyone kind of relates it back to themselves. It's awesome. So thank you for sharing. I love it.
You're welcome.
Okay, cool. So I'm super excited. I want to hear this stuff. I love that it's an acronym. I love all of it. I was so excited when you wrote this and what you wanted to talk about today. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, how do you want to get started?
So let me just, I guess, explain a little bit how I even came to be here, like my little story, my why or whatever. Basically my whole life, right? Like, I think all of us could say that to a degree. I've always been sort of a curious, self-exploratory. I was always filling out the personality profiles and the, like, let me try to figure out who exactly I am and how I tick this way. And, as a young person, my friends always called me the voice of reason. Oh, Amy, she's the voice of reason. So I basically, I wanted to do it the so I'll get to this, but the masculine way. I wanted to go to college and I wanted to get my degrees and do things super logical and reasonable. And I did, and I became among many other things, a social worker, and I worked with elderly folks, like helping them. Really, I don't know that I helped them. I just asked them questions every month and make sure that they were still alive. Right.
I'm sure that's helpful.
Yeah. Helpful. To a degree. Yes. Yeah. I won't diminish my importance there for sure. But, after a while, I was just kind of like doing the hamster wheel, Groundhog Day, whatever of cubicle life. I was like, I am asking the same questions to the same people every 3 months and nobody's changing. Like, we're all just doing this Groundhog Day. And I found coaching sort of through a back door, because the reason why I went there was because I lost a whole bunch of weight on the ketogenic diet, right? And I decided that I was going to use my skills of being the voice of reason to teach people how to do the ketogenic diet. And hence my first niche. That didn't last very long because, that's not super fun to me to just talk about macros and nutrition. Like, it's totally some people's thing, not my thing. Yeah. But thank God for that, because it opened the door to get me into doing what I'm doing now. And the coaching program that I went into to teach other people the ketogenic diet ultimately ended up being a life coaching program as well. And I was just fascinated by the models that are emerging to help people work through their limiting beliefs and everything that stands in the way of them being themselves, right? So that's normally what we're kind of preventing from happening when we are, just not living our best life, I suppose. So here I am now, and I work with women on a one-on-one basis to help them put away all the shoulds. Ends up being what a lot of what I do, and sort of helping them to access deep intuition, which I consider our connection to the divine. And I'm going to make a big sort of caveat here that I see the divine as the source from whence we came. I'm not a God in the sky with a scroll. If that's your God, that's totally fine. But I use a whole bunch of different words here. I consider the divine a whole bunch of different, it can show up in a whole bunch of different ways. I don't want people listening to this to have one very direct version of the divine in mind when I'm talking about this, because it's one of those words. That's why I don't use God, because too many people have too many hangups on what God means. So I think I'm in service of really bringing out the divine in the women that I work with at this point. And it's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like this stuff is always so intriguing to me, because it's like I'm always drawn to it, but my brain just does not work this way. Like, I talk about that all the time in this group. Like, the woo-woo-y type stuff is what I always say. Like, my brain just is not wired that way, but it's so intriguing, and I love hearing other people talk about it. And I feel like, just having talked to you in the past, you and I like have a lot in common. I feel like the way that we process information. So I feel like you're like the piece of my brain that's missing. Like, coming through you. And I love it because you like explain things in a way that I like can understand. And I love that. So keep going. I'm loving
it. So, what I see is happening right now, and this goes into my whole rise thing, is that so Rebecca Campbell is his author. She talks about this stuff a lot. And I've been doing this work for a while, and I actually just got introduced to her. But I was recently listening to one of her books, and she says, very simply, as one of us awakens and rises, it makes it easier for another to follow her lead. And it like hit me like, it's so silly, but like it just hit me in the head. I was like, listen, I have been doing this work for years now, my whole life really, but consciously for years. And I need to be the one that's in the lead now. Like I need to be the one that is helping other people do this because now's the time. I'm the sort of person that notices things on a meta level. Like, so I see patterns. I like, when I look at social media, I'm the one that notices, 12 different people said they couldn't sleep last night. I wonder where the moon phase is at. And like, why is this like a pattern that's happening? And I run in a lot of different social circles because I've lived in a lot of different places. I've worked in a lot of places. I've belonged to a lot of organizations. So I have this opportunity to see patterns in a really, really cool way. And right now I'm seeing the feminine rising. And I don't mean women, I mean the feminine. So you and I both probably did things in a similar way. We became successful by really embodying very masculine traits. And I don't mean manly, I mean masculine. And masculine is logical, reasonable, action-oriented, firm, survival-oriented, loyal, adventurous, rational, right? Like that, those are the things that we needed to do to be successful women in this day and age. As if you look at anybody in power right now, you can say, even sometimes down, especially like political figures with the not so much the most recent election, but any women who were in power in politics prior to now, even in the way they dress and present themselves, is like a very masculine aura about them. And what's happening right now is in 2019 specifically, I think, is like more so than ever so far, is the rising or the awakening or the revering of femininity and feminine qualities, which include intuition, nurturing, healing, gentle, expressive, wise, patient, emotional, flexible. These are all the
things that
things
make really great leaders, right?
Yes, right? And like if we just like respected both, which we haven't been doing for like millennia. Like we've been really revering all of these masculine traits and really just sort of diminishing the feminine ones. And especially in like places where we consider success and like leadership, right? So we're like, oh yeah, Ma, you're great in the kitchen and like hugging us kids when we come home and, you know, being your emotional self. And that's cool. But we really haven't been allowing for that, or never mind allowing, but like revering or respecting the feminine in places of power. And that's what I think is changing right now.
I love it. I'm thinking back to like when I was sitting in my cube, and that's like spot on. It's so true. Like I feel like, not like you said, not just politics or, you know, government, but any kind of organizations that are there. I feel like they're stuck in the past. So I'm so glad that you're seeing these patterns, that it's changing. That's super exciting.
So my part in it is to work one-on-one with women and help them develop, because I'm coming at all of this. This doesn't necessarily have to be spiritual, but my work in it is. And what I do is I help women connect to themselves and whence the divine, as I see it, hone their intuition, cultivate their voice, and work on elevating themselves and the folks around them. So what we do is we work with my RISE system, which is reconnect, intuition, speak, and elevate. I have a bunch of practices under each category, but just to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. And I let my clients sort of pick and choose from this menu of things that works for them. So we sort of move through a program of kind of exploring all of these different methods and tools, and then they put together their own Rise daily protocol, right? So under Reconnect is the top 3 that I work with are meditation, mindfulness, and really working with your menstrual cycle. I only work with women right now, so that works for most of them. Meditation is just, I'm sure everybody has sort of an idea of what we're talking about, but for me, it's really just being with what is. Not necessarily like this Zen practice where we are sitting in lotus position and trying to create, a blank mind. I mean, like just being with what is for a period of time and just watching what happens and just not trying to control it or change it or have it be anything different. Yeah. Mindfulness is really about paying attention to your life. What's happening? What is your role in it? Who are you being while you're in your daily life? In the menstrual cycle, I won't get into in detail because there's so much magic happening there. But really, if you begin to pay attention to it and track it and look at it in a very meaningful and symbolic way, you can connect to your intuitive self at such a greater level. And there's so much wisdom and magic to be held by sort of beginning to look at this thing, not so much as a curse, but as this wonderful gift that we've been gifted with to connect to nature's cycles in a way that's like super, super magical. Yeah. So that's R. I is intuition, which is really about asking yourself what you need to know, listening to yourself when you tell yourself what you need to know. And to listen, I do things like journaling, oracle cards, spirit animals, numerology, any way that the universe is speaking back to us through our intuition. And cool. yeah, like that's my favorite part.
Awesome.
My favorite part. I brought my cards with me just in case we wound up with like extra time. But yeah. So I really I love that part because I get to see these women light up with whatever their thing is, like whether it's crystals or cards or spirit animals or whatever. They just when they find their thing, they just totally light up and they're like, oh, you'll never guess what I saw when I was driving down the road and I saw this eagle. Like, what does that mean? And they'll start looking it up on their little app, and it's just it's really dope. I love it. S is for speak. So this is twofold for me. Really, it's about using your voice in an intentional way to get spiritual, right? So things like prayer, things like singing, things like chanting. There are actually energetic things that happen within you when you engage in those practices. And then it's also really about speaking your truth. It's speaking with integrity, showing up, meaning what you say, saying what you mean. That is a spiritual practice. That is authenticity. We are not here to say fake stuff to make people like us for fake things, right? So it's being in integrity with yourself. And something else I talk a lot about is finding places to speak. And by that I mean I really encourage people to join women's circles where they can go and speak about what's going on for them in a really real way and be received with grace. There's also speaking clubs. I belong to a speaking club that's all women, and it's just a place. Really, I went into it thinking I was learning how to public speak, and I really go to group kind of not therapy, but a group share every week where I get to just hear these amazing stories about these women and do the same. And there's so much healing that takes place when you share your authentic story and you are received with just love and grace. You could share your most deepest, darkest secrets. And when somebody says, okay, I love you anyway. And you're just whoa, all this trauma drama that I've been carrying around for years is just vanishes when you speak it out loud and you are received with just unconditional love.
That's awesome. So awesome.
Yeah. So much power in just speaking, just using your voice to say words. It's so crazy. And the last bit is elevate, which is all about like treating your body like the energy that it is. We are all made up of tiny little balls of protons and neutrons and electrons, and they're all swirling around each other. And they either contract and stick together, or they like move around loosely and magically. So we do a whole bunch of things like with movement and paying attention to the food we eat and gratitude, all these different things to elevate your vibration. And I also mean by elevate, like elevate your mission. Like, why are you here? What are you here to do? And I don't need my clients to like go out and do humongous things, but like, are you here to be a phenomenal mom and to show up presently in your mom life and like rock your kids' world? Okay, then let's do it. Like, let's not just sit on the couch and scroll through Facebook all day. Like, let's elevate, right? Yeah. Like we have this opportunity in these relationships that we have to do these things.
I love it.
So
I love the passion that's like coming through just when you talk about it. It's so exciting.
I know, I get so excited.
Yeah, people get.
I was like so nervous to come on here because I was like, I don't know what to say, and then I'm like, Amy, once you start talking, you're just gonna like get alive.
Nope. I love it. I love it.
I can't believe the power is still out right now of all time.
How funny.
Yeah, so the title of this show or this live was like a daily spiritual practice. It was like the subtitle, right? So I just kind of want to wrap this whole explanation up with like, what does this actually look like in my life? Like, I just said a whole bunch of words and they meant a bunch of things, but like, what does this like really look like? So I'll just share like a day in the life of me, if that is helpful to you, right?
Yes, that sounds awesome.
So I wake up in the morning, and if I'm like, and granted, these are like an ideal life in the day of Amy. I have days where I just like hit snooze and, don't do a thing. But, on a good day when I'm, yes. This is in my Google calendar in a color-coded fashion.
That means
it's still very masculine. But so I like doing a morning meditation, like really just sitting there and being with what is. And in the morning, it's such a phenomenal time to do that because there isn't a whole lot that is. Like, I'm not stressed out about the day yet. I don't have a whole bunch of things that are like worrying me. I can just sit there and be with the silence that is. And then, shortly do a quick prayer to ask for whatever it is that I wish for guidance for and thank for it as if it has already come. That like my prayers are always twofold. It's like, not like, please give me a Mercedes tomorrow. It's like, okay, what am I here to learn today? What do I need to be paying attention today? Thank you for showing me what to look for today. Yeah. And then I pull a card. I'm obsessed with cards. I love Oracle cards. My favorite deck you probably would enjoy, even though you're not super wooey. It's an archetype deck by Carolyn Meese. And she's just amazing when it comes to archetypes, and I use them every day. And when I pull a card, it simply, for me, points to the archetype or the theme that I then should be paying attention to. I've just asked for this guidance, and then I get a card that says a word. It could say the victim. The victim is a popular archetype, and perhaps during that day, I will behave as if I was victimized by something, and that will be something that I should be paying attention to that day. And then I journal. So I'll pull the card and I'll look at the card. I'll get some insight, like kind of like, oh, this is interesting that I see this archetype today. So I'm going to journal for a couple of minutes and just sort of flesh out anything that comes to mind. Nothing crazy. It doesn't have to be a perfect practice. And then if I'm a really good girl, I'll go to the gym and get my body moving. And this definitely does not happen all the time. But I have a personal trainer, thank goodness, because she helps me stay on task. Because we need that sort of accountability sometimes.
That's
right?
what I need. That's where I am right now. I need that personal trainer.
Yeah. There's so many times that I'm like, I don't want to do this right now. I know it's good for me, but I have this appointment. I'm paying a lot of money to this woman to keep me here. So and just doing that like shakes out all like the stagnant muckety muck that like threatens to hold me down. And I know it. And when I can just do it, it feels so much better afterwards.
For sure.
Pretty much every day I have a call or multiple calls with other women that are in my support systems that keep me grounded and give me that space to speak that I was talking about earlier. Like, I never I was never really good. I was never really real with friends when I was growing up because I cared too much about what people thought about me.
Yeah.
So I never really had that like sisterhood that I
Yeah.
have now. Now I have women, like I have these amazing women in my life that I can just be totally real with, and they're totally real back with me. And it keeps me so freaking grounded, like every day, no matter what's going on, I can just call one of them and be like, oh my God, like you will never believe this. And it's not just like a bitch sesh. It's like healing. Like I say it, I get heard, I get love. I can move on with my day, like without it holding me back so much.
Yeah.
And I can't, it just sounds kind of silly, but it's like seriously so important on my mission to like elevate.
Absolutely.
And then the last thing is just like eating real food. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Cheez-Its. I love Cheez-Its. But like for the most part, just trying to like eat real food, mostly plants, not too much, to quote Michael Pollan. It just helps keep my vibration high, keeps me on point, keeps me feeling good and like ready to like tackle the world, So that's like what it looks like in my day-to-day practice. And just showing up with an integrity, like all the time. Authenticity is the cornerstone of everything I do. So that's what it looks like in real life.
I love it. That's so exciting. So my mom got me a deck of the cards. They're like affirmation cards for Christmas. Cool. I think they're somewhere over there. I should like do a video and like tag you in it so you can see what they're like. That stuff is like so intriguing to me. I love hearing, just the whole outline of the day, because you hear a lot of people talk about this stuff online, like, oh, I have cards over here. Oh, I do this in the morning, but they don't really like put it all together and like tell you why. So I loved hearing that. That was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So the next piece that I like took away, that you said it sounds silly, but oh my gosh, it does not sound silly at all. Just having that support system. I've never really had that either. So I'm wondering, like, I have a few people that I talk to now, which is totally awesome. But for someone who's looking for that type of thing, you said when you were talking about, I think it was in the S part, the speaking part, you said like speaking groups and stuff. How do you recommend people find support systems like that?
Yes. So I have a very specific recommendation, and they're probably going to love me for doing this, but there's this organization called Speaker Sisterhood.
Okay.
And it's just phenomenal. They're growing. They're coming out of the Northeast, and they're growing sort of west right now. It is my intention to open my own club. It's basically Toastmasters for women, but like so much better. No shame on Toastmasters. I love Toastmasters, but it's like a public speaking group for women to gather, and they have a protocol that they move through that's just so powerful. I've already done the first 3 speeches, and it's #love, power, and truth.
I love it.
It's like 3, like all of the topics are very pivotal to life, and gets you self-exploring and then speaking about it in a safe space. It's awesome. I'm going to do my own club. Hopefully it's virtual. I hope I can do a virtual club. And maybe you can join it.
Absolutely. That sounds awesome.
Yes.
Sorry, I think my camera froze for a second. Yeah, I'm so intrigued by this stuff. I know I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but it just like seriously blows my mind that all of this stuff. And like I said, I'm just kind of like learning about all of these things. So I'm like a perfect student for you, because I'm like, I want to know everything. I want to know all of this stuff. So.
Well, you can just have me on every couple of weeks, and we can talk about something else.
We need it. It sounds like there's a lot of stuff in this program too. So you have you had shared a link to book a call with you. So do you want to talk about that for a second, and like who would that be good for, and what is it? What do you go through in the call?
Yeah, basically, I'm just gonna help. It's basically my introduction call. Like, I want to know what your vision is, like what are you, and it doesn't have to be a big vision. It could just like, not just like being an awesome mom is an important thing, but like it could just be something super normal, like I just want to speak the truth every day. I don't want to be lying all the time. And I get to hear what that vision is for you. We kind of break down the ways that you're kind of standing in front of yourself right now, and what it would look like if you didn't, and how you can support yourself through that process. and really how to begin implementing your own version of the RISE protocol in your life, like in a super basic way. It's only a 60 to 90-minute call. We don't go through the whole thing. It's much, a little bit like what we did here, but really, if you want to do the deep dive, I have a 4-month program, and that's really where we get to do the deep dive. I'm working on a 28-day program now. I just ran the beta version of it with a group, which is super powerful because group stuff is just super powerful. So we got to stay tuned for that. That's not on the horizon just yet. Just finish the beta. But my 4-month program's like the deep dive, and it's where all the good stuff happens.
Awesome. Well, the link to book that is over in the event tab. So you'll have access to that. And yeah, I'm so excited. We had a lot of people hop on live, but nobody commented anything. So next time, guys, comment stuff. Let us know what's going on. But yeah, definitely. I would love to have you back on anytime. Anyone that wants to come on Spotlight Sunday is always welcome to come on as many times as you want. So
okay.
This has totally been awesome. So yeah, if anybody that is watching, if anybody does have any questions, now is the time before we hop off. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited that we finally got to do this, and hearing all this stuff has just been amazing. So thank you so much for speaking your truth and coming and sharing with us.
And thank you for holding such an awesome space for this. This has been an awesome opportunity, and it's like a really cool group. And I can tell that you have like a lot of really hardcore fans and just like awesome people that show up. And so I really appreciate this opportunity to be here. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I love it. I love doing these. I love getting to know everybody. And like I said, just hearing how passionate you are about your thing, that's what like keeps me so excited about doing stuff. Like I love helping people that are so excited, like share their message even further. And that's why I created this series. So it's awesome. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we'll hop off and let everyone enjoy their Sunday evening then.
Okay.
I will talk to all of you soon. Thank you so much, Amy.
All right. Thank you. Nice to meet you all. Have a good one. Bye-bye.